Am I doing enough?
Hmm.
And all these questions that a mu'min should ask, a person of love or love of humanity, love of faith, should ask what the questions of yourself.
Hmm.
So that could make you a little bit fearful or tread carefully.
Hmm.
And I think that is an important aspect too.
Yes.
So I think similarly in the Jewish faith, it's about working hard during the week,
Yes, exactly.
resting during Shabbat, which is a good
Shabbat, yes, yes.
And similarly in Ramadan, it's about keeping a balance during the day. So of course, you do your business, but you take it easy. In a lot of Muslim countries, they have it off or they have it easy, so they have time,
starting time or
yes, and
gives
they
a little break.
The time of breaking a fast, etc. And those are consideration, that's cooperation between people and community. So I think that's a really nice thing to do.
And also in the West, as you are in UK, we have these community iftars, which are also nice way to come together as a community, because not everybody's families are, around you.
Well, you made a very good point, Shua, because although traditionally fasting was about breaking it with families, with mother, father, grandparents, uncle, aunt, etc. But the world is so divided at the moment because of immigration.
Yes.
People from Afghanistan and Turkey and so many other countries in the world. Some sisters are in Europe, in Germany, some are in America. So families are split up. And that's so sad because there's a lot more individualism. There's a lot more living by yourself. So you can get very lonely that way.
True.
And therefore, it's very nice for someone to reach out. I'll tell you a little story, Shoa.
Please.
When we came to the UK first, I was at one of the universities. And we were in a very small little house, but next to us was this old lady. And she would sweep the road all the way up to one direction where the lights were, which is a very far away from her house, and all the way to the next. And every time there was Easter, she would ring our bell, and there was a whole packet of chocolates and presents and balloons for my kids. And
that's nice. So sweet.
And then she would just disappear. And so recently I went to that same house and I said, is this lady there? And she said, no, the lady who was there, she said, we bought the house and about 9 years ago, this lady died. But she said she's heard so many stories that she's such a lovely person. She kept reaching out. A lovely person.
Wow.
And similarly in our communities back home, this is our tradition. When you give food to your neighbor, they fill it up with more delicious food and send it back.
Send it back. Yes, I love that actually. It's so cute.
Warmth, dena.
Yes.
And you give something better.
Sharing.
So you receive, you receive something, but you give something better.
True.
And those values, of adab, those are the ones that are so precious.
What do you call adab in English? Etiquette?
Adab is like propriety, decorum. Mutual respect.
True. Nice. Very nice. Do you have any other funny story or interesting story that we can learn from? If you want to share that. Otherwise, I will go ahead with other questions.
Sure. I have too many funny stories. Then we're here for another 2 hours.
Okay. Anything that you can cover in a minute. Anything. Otherwise, you can come back to it.
Next time.
Okay. So you work during the fasting month, right? You are in UK. There is no, the time doesn't change for you particularly.
Well, the thing is, sure, all my life I've worked and I've not worked. I mean, although I haven't done the traditional 9 to 5 throughout, but I'm personally always multitasking. So I'm working, there's work as a mother, there's work as a citizen of the country, of society. There's work as an author, there's work as a peace builder, there's work as a teacher, as a professor, so there's always something pulling you in different directions. And the key thing is to manage them all while keeping your own health in balance and
True.
your spirituality. And that's where, coming back to fasting, to namaz, all these things are very healing.
True.
And of course, a connection with the beloved.
True. Okay. Wonderful. All right. Anything else you want to say before we move to my usual last leg of questions that some people ask? Oh, so what does that has to do with fasting? I said, well, everything. So just so anything else you want to share before we move on?
Please move ahead, Ajay.
Okay. All right. So I ask my guests, and you are my special guest today, what is wealth in your experience?
Well, that's a very good question, Shua. You've asked me that before.
Yes.
And of course,
I want to see if it is the same or different.
Very good. Good. Good question. It's always a beautiful question. And of course, wealth, like I said, on many levels. I mean, for me, wealth is humanity, how I love and respect humanity. But what I do for them in my lifetime is very important to me. So that's one thing, but that's inspired by my love for the beloved, who's the creator of the universe. So because he has said, not same are the people who sit at home and those who go out and strive in my way and do righteousness, because the word righteousness is mentioned so many times. Now, of course, we all are humans and we make mistakes and errors and we bump sometimes, and sometimes we try, but we make it, and sometimes we don't. But my point is that this triangle, the love for the beloved and love for humanity, that really inspires me and drives me.
Thank you. And what is the value of gratitude for you?
The value of gratitude is very important because, again, it's linked with humility. So if you're grateful for everything you have, then you are also in a position of humility where you are grateful for having those things. But if you take them for granted, and which a lot of us do, and sometimes I do, their human relationships, their friendships, there's your faith, there's your fasting. Even fasting can be taken for granted because it's there, it's Ramzan. But how do you take it in a way of gratitude, that this is something purifying my body, my soul, taking me to a deeper level, a higher level? That frame of mind can transform the whole experience from an ordinary one to something with an extraordinary spark.
Wonderful. True. What is the purpose of your life at this stage and age?
Well, the purpose of my life, that's a very good question and needs a lot of thought. Of course, beloved Rabbi said, I made you to worship me. And worship is such a vast term. It's not just doing your namaz, your prayer. It is serving humanity. It is giving water to the thirsty. It is clothing the people who are very poor. It is reaching out to victims of genocide, of earthquakes, of people being oppressed. It's writing a poem in support or raising awareness. All this becomes form of ibadat, worship. And that for me is, makes life meaningful when you can, in very small ways and with small steps, really, at least do your bit to help the whole of humanity. Because when I pray, Shua, I pray, of course, for my family, my children, the immediate people, my parents. But I pray also for the Ummah. And I pray also for all of humanity, for every and each faith, because all of us are really brothers and sisters. And we are there, we are of one family. And we have to think this way. We can't say us versus them, because that's why we are in a mess, because a lot of the world leaders, unfortunately or fortunately, are male. And if we had a few more women leaders,
Mm.
then maybe they'll have more maternal instincts, and that would be more compassionate.
Mm.
Of course, this is just a controversial point.
True, true. No.
And what I would say is sure that more inclusivity and diversity. So for inclusivity, yes, men, women, people of all ages, we should respect, include them in our prayers, include them at our fasting table, at our table when we break our fast, invite your neighbor.
Mm.
If they're not of your faith, especially invite them, because
Do you
that.
do that? Do you do that over there?
Well, I think it's a lovely feeling, and I've mentioned it many times to the community. Some of them resisted, but I have definitely done it.
So
And
why
I
do they
love
resist it? You mean Muslims resist it?
Well, you see, it's not just Muslim. There's a culture. Remember, I
Oh,
told
okay. Yes.
well, there's a religion between culture, difference between culture and religion. And so when you have a community, let's say of Bangladeshis or Pakistanis, then they just want it to be their own little group. But what I'm saying is open up that group so you invite people like I have done, and they love it because
Yep.
sometimes they just observe and see and really enjoy the experience, and it's very memorable.
True. Yeah, like interfaith, we do. We try to do it here. That it's not Muslims only, different cultures of Muslim, nations or families, but non-Muslims, just invite them. Just they can see what you're doing, how you break the fast, what kind of food you eat. They ask you questions, and also, yeah, I think that's very, especially when we are living in the West, which is not the majority Muslim countries.
Yes, and a lot of other faith communities do it. For example, when I was working and doing some interfaith work, I was invited by so many, Jewish leaders.
Oh, yes, definitely.
To
They do it.
attend their Shabbat.
Yes. Oh, that's so lovely to attend. I have attended and it's beautiful.
And so if they can do it, because then you make more friends. And then
yes.
if you have a point you want to convey it, it's better to make friends than to be, to build walls. So similarly with the Muslim community, they could learn to be much more inclusive and to bring people together so that if you want something done or you want to move ahead, then that's a very good way to do it because you've made more friends.
Right, exactly. And networking, I guess that's the word. All right. Any message of hope you want to give in this month of Shaban, which is also a month of blessings, and Ramadan is coming, and yeah.
Yes, hope, Shoa, is a very good point towards the end of our discussion, because human beings are alive because of hope.
True.
And we've had a very difficult few months and years. We've had COVID, we've had wars in different countries, we've had pockets of genocide, we've had these terrible earthquakes that took over 40,000 lives in places which are already very poor and already undergoing persecution and war and all. So hope is something so important. When you see it in a smile of a child, you see it in a mother's eyes, these are human beings. So it's not about being Muslim or Christian or Jewish. It's about just simply being a human being. Every human being wants to live with dignity. They want to be respected. They want to be heard. They want to be able to speak up. They want other people to respect them for who they are, whether they believe in a prophet or in a God or it's their way of life. They want their perspective to be respected. And when that happens, then it's beautiful because it gives space for friendship. But if that doesn't happen, and let's say caricatures are made of your prophet, or your holy books are burnt, or things like that happen, then it's really hostile. It's not telling the community that we want to include you. And therefore, hope becomes very important on both sides. Hope, communication, dialogue, friendship, reaching out, inviting people to your table. All that becomes very important post-COVID, post-war, post-immigration.
True.
Let's hope it's a better world, Shua, in the coming time, rather than...
What I learned, that you need to do your bit. I mean, we can get hopeless at times. We can get down and it's like, okay, I did so much and still nothing happened. But then I learned that we have to go on. And that's what hope is, I guess.
Yes. Absolutely. It's trust. At the end of the day, hope is mixed with, hand in hand, with trust in Rabbi.
Yeah.
And love for humanity.
Wonderful. All right. My last question to you. What lights you up?
Well, I love your program. Shoah lights me up. That's what the program is, right?
That is nice.
Light up with
But
Shoah.
thank you. Thank you. But, you can say something else too. So if this lights you up, I'm really thankful. That is so nice of you to say. And yes, it lights me up too. That's why I started this podcast, to give hope and to myself and to others. So thank you for that. I am really honored and flattered in a way.
So it's friendships, Shoah, like your friendship with you, friendship with people across so many faiths, and my own faith and other faiths. I've developed a very good and positive relationship and seen the best of humanity. I mean, really, when I had cancer and I was recovering, so many people wrote to me. They sent me flowers, they sent me beautiful letters and words. Some people were writing poems. And so all that was a real spark, that really warms up your heart. And of course, the idea of light, because the idea of Noor, the whole concept of Noor is such a beautiful concept, the light, because that is a feeling of warmth, it's a feeling of knowledge, it's a spark that Iqbal talked about. Khudi. It's a concept that they have in the Parsi religion, where the light is so important. Noor-e-Ilahi, that's such an important concept in Islam. Every faith has a concept of light. Light, that your light is a spark which your heart receives. So recently I was researching and found out that the heart itself, Shoah, has a life in itself. It's not just the brain. Your heart, because they keep saying qalb, do your zikr, because your qalb, your heart is responding. So your heart is responding to the light, to the noor. Every cell of it has its own language, and receiving the positive vibes from the world. And that's why it's so important that we are agents for positive change, to help others, people in our own community and other communities, and reaching out. That's why hope is important, and Noor, light, is, for me, very important. And of course, it's the name of beloved Rabbi.
Yeah. Thank you so much, as always. I'm glad that you were able to spare this time today and we were able to align. I hope you have a very, good, blessed month of Ramadan, which is coming soon, and hope to connect with you again and learn about what your projects are. And I will share your message with the world that we live in. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shoah. Fabulous to be with you and connect with you. God bless you, and hope you have a lovely Ramadan, and we continue our friendship.
Thank you.